Welcome to the very first stakeholder meeting of the Global Ocean Commission. I'd like to welcome one of the co-chairs, Minister Trevor Manuel.
Thank you very much, Kino. Good afternoon to all of you and welcome. Everybody who came in at the door said the turnout's very good. It's a public holiday over a long weekend. The issues must be fundamentally important to everybody. So thank you very, very much. We really appreciate your time. We're here to listen. We don't only represent scientists. We're here to listen, and I'd like to believe that as we develop the ideas of the Commission, we'll develop because we can offer a bridge between the views of many people who have an interest in this, including scientists, and that we can articulate those and ensure that the world's leaders are taking appropriate decisions. Thank you very much, and again, thanks for being here, and we hope that you will enrich this discussion by your contributions today. Thank you.
Now we get to the really, really exciting part. This is where you get to interact with the Commission, with the panel.
The high seas and most of the fishing policies are badly structured and mismanaged, and to rectify it, is going to take a tremendous effort. The challenges that you face, first of all, is to change the mindset of people, because where the socio-economic conditions of countries, these people work on the illegal sea. You have a formal economy, and you got to recognize that it's an informal economy also, which you call illegal.
My interests are a bit broader than just the fishing. I would like the Commission to consider, as the Commission says it's going to go into its first workshop tomorrow, mining at sea. How is that going to interplay with the fish resource? The gas and petroleum companies will have much larger lobbies than the fishing companies. And we'd like to see the Commission come up with some kind of thing that begins to regulate the relationship between food sustainability, obviously, and mining, petroleum and gas. I think that the Navy can play a significant role in reducing slavery at sea. If I've read your documentation here, there's quite a lot of slavery at sea, and the Commission should be considering that as well. Thank you.
The point that healthy, functional ecosystems are foundational to the social and economic benefits that they deliver to society. And we've come a long way in understanding where some of those ecologically sensitive areas are and how we set those aside, not for the intention of protecting them for the sake of protecting them, but for really understanding that those areas are foundational to delivering the benefits that we want to accrue from the remaining part of the ecosystem.
Governance must have something to do, in the end, with equity and equality. And by that I mean that we need to talk much more about making sure that the South, that the developing countries are more adequately having access when we talk about the governance of those high seas. Otherwise, we replicate the colonial model.
And my plea is really that the Navy is more than just enforcement. An example is awareness. Awareness of a common maritime picture, which you could have on an unclassified layer, which integrates not only the movement of traffic and fishing, but also temperatures, fishing, shoals, the movement of currents, etc., which you could use to develop a common maritime picture which everyone could share. And then lastly is you often see navies in terms of enforcement, anti-piracy, protecting of merchant vessels. I think you need to look further than that in terms of the Navy being utilized for the protection of the resources that you have in the sea. And just like we use the extended continental shelf claim against the push to mine the seabed, similarly laws should be looked at which would look at some sort of extended claims that deal with movement of ocean currents, movement of indigenous fishing that comes out of that area, which on a regional basis could be managed. Thank you very much.
Professor Samela highlighted very nicely in his presentation the impact that what happens on the high seas has on artisanal fishers, of which there are more than 10 million in Africa alone. And my question to the Commission is, how are you planning to engage this sector of civil society as part of this first stage that former President Figueres was talking about, of listening and learning? How are you planning to engage the artisanal fishing sector? Thank you.
One of our mantras here is not to go out there and duplicate or replicate what's already been done, but rather let's look at where the missing pieces of the puzzle are, where we can add some value based on the feedback that we get from yourselves, those that have been operating in this community and on these issues for long, and then complete to move forward with a better puzzle built between all of us. And to you who asked, how do we engage 10 million artisan fishermen in Africa alone? I wish I had an answer for that. I don't. But I guess it's through a series of processes of consultation such as this one, interacting with yourself and with other NGOs who are aware of many of the challenges that fishermen are facing. But if you have some ideas on that, I'd love to talk to you right after this.
I mean, the world now having 7 billion population, and with the economic growth, which is very fast in the past 30 years, in any region in the world is creating what you call it the new middle class. And this new middle class is actually demanding more food. So the issue about food security is very important. Inequality has become a challenge. And we are not going to stop here. We are going to heading to 9 billion people, with many more people is going to actually reaching what we call it the middle class.
If you really want to make progress and you want to push ahead, sometimes you have to forget a little bit about now and think about the future. And we do it in Africa. This is not something foreign. I mean, in West Africa, those of you who have been there, you may know this story. You go to a market and you see an African woman. She works from morning to night, sacrificing everything so that her daughter or son can go to school. You know this story. I'm sure it happens here too. And that is somebody who says, my immediate needs can wait. I want my daughter to make it. And that is how you build a family. And that is how you end up having a professor of economics in Canada, right? From you know, and this kind of thinking is what I really always try to talk about when I come to the continent. I know it's difficult, it's not easy. Those women, it's not easy for them, but that is the way to really make progress. And I think thinking of the ocean is also about that. If you want your coast to be productive, you need to think far ahead.
The issues of security and the issues of systems that tie up a variety of issues. And also the mandate that we start out with, which is about fishing, but also about the exploitation of the seabed through issues like mining, the destruction of the biodiversity through issues like changes to the pH balance of the oceans, to the impact of climate change and their impact, for instance, on coral and a range of elements of biodiversity. We've got all of those issues. But what we need is if we want to be that megaphone, we need the voices to come in. And so I want to encourage this ongoing discussion between ourselves so that we know. I mean, our Commission report may be stylized for the United Nations, but beneath it must be a very strong body of opinion that everybody involved in this discussion and beyond can relate to. And that, I think, would be the key performance indicator that we should set to know that we're not just representing 15 commissioners, but there is actually peoples of the world who know that they have some skin in the game of what is being articulated. If we succeed at that, then I know the next 12 months are going to be rich because we're talking to each other and listening to each other and feeding off your knowledge base because we have too few answers as we proceed.
Thank you very much to the panel. Thank you very much to you for being here today.